national contract deadline is now just 1 week away.
7,000 more workers walked off the job at Ford and a General Motors plant.
Ford adding another 150 strike-related layoffs.
UAW strike update in Ford. Ford CEO just snapped and shocked the entire automotive world. 2023 is an extremely dark year for Ford. They were working to give tough competition to Tesla in the EV sector. Instead, now they're approaching bankruptcy due to the ongoing strike, losses in the EV sector, and workers' demand for pay raises that Ford considers unaffordable. But what's raising eyebrows now is a recent decision made by the Ford CEO, Jim Farley, because no one has a clue of what could be the aftermath of this. So what is happening with Ford? What decision had they just taken? Is this a slow death for Ford, or would they come back on track? Let's analyze the whole thing in details. The current strike of the United Auto Workers Union, or UAW, against major U.S. automakers including Ford, Stellantis, and General Motors is a rare occurrence, and it's strategically targeting specific facilities that produce high-margin, high-volume products, and it could cost the companies more than $5 billion. To give you a little background check, the UAW, which represents nearly 150,000 auto industry employees, began labor negotiations in July 2023 as their contracts were set to expire on September 14th. The UAW proposed a substantial 46% wage increase, including an immediate 20% raise, followed by 4 annual 5% increases, along with defined benefit pensions, a shorter 32-hour workweek, and cost of living adjustments. In contrast, Ford offered a much more modest 9% annual increase until 2027, falling far short of the union's demands. Many of you already know this. Then the UAW, led by Shawn Fain, threatened a strike if no new agreement was reached by the contract expiration, showing a more assertive stance against corporate greed and supporting equal pay for EV workers. Ford, on its part, made some efforts to prevent a strike. Negotiations happened at Ford headquarters, and an improved contract proposal was put forward, offering a 5% raise in the first year and bonuses for workers. However, UAW President Shawn Fain remains dissatisfied. Key figures from both sides, including UAW Vice President Chuck Browning and Ford executives, have been actively involved in these discussions. Ford stands out in the industry by producing its F-Series trucks domestically and investing in EVs. However, it seemed to be struggling to meet the UAW's demands, especially concerning temporary workers and healthcare benefits. Ford argued that its compensation for these workers was already more generous than that offered by foreign companies like Honda. CNBC has reported that if negotiations worsen, the strike could cost these companies $5 billion in just a few weeks, with the potential for the total cost to exceed $8 billion. But after 40 days, Ford reached a tentative deal with the union, allowing 20,000 workers to return to work. Ford Chief Executive and President Jim Farley said in a statement, "We are focused on restarting Kentucky truck plant, Michigan assembly plant, and Chicago assembly plant, calling 20,000 Ford employees back to work and shipping our full lineup to our customers again." A new labor agreement is in the works, and it's set to bring some significant changes for Ford's hourly workers. The deal proposes a substantial 25% increase in hourly wages throughout the contract, which will span 4 years. By adding cost of living allowances, the highest wage rate is set to go up by 33%. As the UAW president Shawn Fain put it Wednesday night in a video posted on X, "We won things nobody thought was possible." Since the strike began, Ford put 50% more on the table. This could result in a top pay rate exceeding $40 per hour when factoring in cost of living adjustments. However, the strike continued with about 25,000 workers as the union continued negotiations with GM and Stellantis. Ford's 57,000 hourly employees in the United States are expected to approve this agreement, but it may take several weeks to finalize. The UAW union is also urging General Motors and Stellantis to agree to similar terms to end a costly industry-wide strike that has been affecting multiple plants and facilities. "Keep the pressure on Stellantis and GM," said Chuck Browning, the union's top Ford negotiator. Notably, this deal secures substantial pay increases, over 150% for the lowest paid temporary workers. It also grants the UAW the right to strike if there are potential Ford plant closures. However, the agreement doesn't cover specific details regarding wages and benefits at battery plants, a 32-hour workweek initially requested by the UAW, or whether it applies to Ford's 4 battery plants under construction, or supports the UAW's efforts in organizing the new electric trunk assembly plant in Tennessee. The tentative agreement received praise from U.S. President Joe Biden for its substantial raise for auto workers, who play a vital role in the global automotive industry. According to Biden, it provides a record raise to auto workers who have sacrificed so much to ensure our iconic Big Three companies can still lead the world in quality and innovation. The strike, which has been ongoing for a couple of weeks, has been costly for the automakers, with combined losses exceeding $4.1 billion and broader economic losses estimated at $9.3 billion, according to the Anderson Economic Group. While Ford's quarterly financial results were announced after the tentative agreement, the UAW is still striking at GM and Stellantis. This strike has coincided with the automakers' transitions to EVs. Each company had set ambitious goals for reducing carbon emissions by transitioning to EV production. The strike could impede EV production growth due to existing financial challenges, inventory issues, and fierce EV market competition. Ford's prior warning about EV profitability may lead to a more market-driven strategy and ease investor concerns about the Big Three's aggressive EV investments mentioned in GM's Q3 earnings call. Furthermore, Ford and GM lagged behind Tesla and foreign automakers in the EV market, with Tesla holding a substantial 50% market share in the third quarter of 2023. While Ford and GM only accounted for 6.7% and 6.5% respectively. According to Wedbush analysts, the true beneficiaries of the UAW strike were Tesla and foreign automakers, as the labor dispute only made the transition to EVs more challenging for the Big Three. The approval of this agreement could be a significant turning point. It involves a substantial increase in wages, which is quite different from the smaller annual raises we've seen in the past. This negotiation is part of a larger trend of labor activism in the U.S., where unions are taking advantage of tight job markets and pushing for better conditions, especially in industries that are making a lot of money. According to Bloomberg Intelligence, Ford's tentative labor agreement with the UAW may increase its costs by more than $900 million in its first year, based on an 11% raise in year one, putting additional pressure on the company's efforts to enhance its mediocre profitability. Ford is in a delicate financial situation. Last year, they made $10 billion in profit and were expected to make $11 to $12 billion this year, without factoring in the impact of the strike. However, they have $40 billion in cash and a significant $95 billion in long-term debt, which is double their available cash. CEO Farley has made it clear that a salary increase of more than 5% for workers would wipe out profits and possibly lead to bankruptcy. Apart from fighting debts, the company might need to sell off assets if its cash reserves run out, which could disrupt its operations and lead to more losses. Giving in to substantial wage increases, even the 25% increase can threaten their future profitability and force them to make unavoidable cuts. These financial constraints could hinder Ford's transition into electric vehicles, an area where they currently are experiencing significant financial losses. Tesla, as a non-unionized company, and its expansion present a competitive challenge. Ford initially expected a $4.5 billion loss in its Model E EV business for 2023, which highlights the difficulty in becoming profitable, despite positioning EVs as the company's future. The UAW strike has already disrupted production by all means, and there are warnings of an extension if their demands are not met. Despite efforts to avoid strikes, ongoing labor disputes in the US and Canada reflect concerns about wages, benefits, and job security in the shift to EVs. In response to these challenges, Ford is investing in research, development, and partnerships to strengthen its position in the EV market. However, the success of these efforts depend on the public's interest in buying electric vehicles, which is currently limited. Ford has shown its commitment to its workforce through recent initiatives to convert temporary positions into full-time roles, and by making significant investments in EV production to improve cost efficiency compared to traditional engines. While they have made agreements with the Canadian union Unifor to prevent disruptions in critical products, the ongoing UAW strike is yet to be resolved. So what are your thoughts on this unexpected development, and how do you think it will impact the future of the auto industry? Share your insights in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this video informative, and be sure to subscribe for more updates on the latest automotive news and industry-shaking revelations.